First time home buyers, guys. So today we're going to be giving some tips, tricks on how to navigate the market. So welcome to the 5-Star Podcast. I'm Winston. Got Rod here.
Kenny.
Kenny. Steve and Richard.
So first time home buyers, guys.
Let's go.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the first time home buyer experience. All right. So when you first talk to a first time home buyer, what's the first thing that you guys talk about, generally speaking?
Well, what's the first thing you usually do?
Well, I actually, a lot of times when I talk to a first time home buyer or general buyers nowadays, I find that with buyers, they're always wanting to work with the listing agent directly. So they're trying to go to the listings, calling the listing agents, and just hopefully they're going to find a deal done with the listing agent.
Let's bust that myth today.
Yeah. Do you think that's a good idea?
Absolutely. Bust the myth? Yeah.
Bust a myth. No.
Bust
Okay. Do you think it's a good idea for a buyer to go straight to a listing agent?
What is the number one reason why you see buyers asking you that question or saying that I want to go straight to the listing agent? What's their advantage of doing that?
Well, the advantage of them thinking that is that they're going to save on commissions, or they're going to save, or they're going to get a better price because they can cut their commissions.
Dun, dun, dun.
Is that true, guys?
Okay, so let's paint a scenario here. Most buyers they know that listing agents, they charge a certain percentage, and the buyer agents also gets a piece of that commission, right? So reason why they actually go to the sellers directly is they're like, now the buyer commissions aren't being, like buyer agents' commission aren't being paid, they can come into my pocket. That's not true, right? Do you guys agree?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because so when a listing agreement is made, the commission structure is already agreed with the seller. Okay, so for some reason, a buyer who comes out of nowhere is expecting either us as a listing agent to cut our commissions, or they're going to get a special price because they assume the agent is obviously double dipping, but there's going to be a special concession to get a special price. I have not seen that in my experience. Okay, I know.
haven't.
Have you?
No,
Nope.
they often ask for information, ask for some sort of a discount or favorable price, only because they seem like they know the seller and their bottom line, their price. Like maybe they can push for it, but it's like you said, it's agreed upon, and it's water under the bridge. There's
Well, the idea is like buyers feel that, sellers are saving X amount of dollars. I can save that extra X amount of dollars, right?
Right.
it's false.
Is that not kind of true though? Like, where's the 2.5 go?
Well, the listing agreement has already stated that this is the commission that's going to be paid.
Okay, so the listing agent takes it all.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's the myth, is that people think that the listing agent will cut their commission. In fact, a lot of times they may lie and say, yeah, I'll reduce my commission, just, put the offer in, because they double in the deal.
Yeah.
Right. They get both ends of the commission. Right. So that's not a good sign.
Right.
And actually, it's a very good point now, because if you're in a legal case, right, and you had a defendant and a plaintiff, and the plaintiff hired a lawyer to defend them, but then you're saying, okay, well, you know what? Hey, I'm going to use the same lawyer to defend me. Right. Who do you think's can get the better end of it?
Yeah.
Is the guy that's actually hiring them, right?
There's a little bit of a conflict there, right?
Yeah.
Who are
So
you really
is it
looking at?
really a smart idea to not use an agent to represent you on the buy of your property, right? And really, does it cost you anything? Does it cost them anything to use a buyer agent?
Well, that's what we're going to try to debunk today. It doesn't.
Actually, doesn't cost them anything,
Yeah.
right? Like, you don't have to pay a buyer agent anything, right?
Not out of pocket, no.
No, typically no.
Yeah.
No, but there are cases where there might be, but not
For
always.
the most part, let's just say that's not the case.
I think also part of the reasons why people are wanting to go directly to the selling agent is because they feel like they got all the information they need, right? And
Yeah.
because all the information is available on the internet nowadays, right? So they don't really understand the value of the actual realtor.
Usually, why do you go to a doctor if you can find all the information on the internet, right? It's the same thing. Like, you rely on their expertise. You rely on them telling you what to do and what not to do. Like, otherwise, everyone would just search up the internet, WebMD them.
Okay, so like now that, let's say they finally decide that they want to move forward with you as a realtor, right? Then what's the next process for you as a realtor with your first time home buyers?
Well, first off, I think we need to kind of mention like there's some new rules in the CMHC. They kind of increased it from 1
So-
million to 1.5.
So basically, what you're saying is you get pre-approved,
yeah.
right? And with the pre-approval, yeah, like with the CMHC changes. So before, with less than 20% down, they're only able to purchase up to $1 million, or just under a million, $1 under a million. But now you can purchase beyond the 1 million with the CMHC rules after December 15th, 2024, right? So now you can purchase up to 1.5.
So
right?
it's
that's a
important
big-
to get pre-approved.
You know why it's so important to get pre-approval is because if you're wanting to buy a certain property or your desires to buy, let's say a townhouse, and you're thinking, okay, all the townhouses in an area that I want to buy, it's $1.2 million, and now it's like, okay, my budget is $1.2 million, right? But really, is your budget really $1.2 million? Can you afford it, right? And that's a question that we have to find out before. That's why we get the pre-approval done.
Most people are reluctant to even go to the mortgage agent because they feel like, oh, I'm not ready yet. And they just have, all this money.
Actually, that's a good question. With deposits, people are very concerned with deposits. If they don't have enough deposit, then they don't want to buy, right? So here's the deal. Like, it's important that we talk about this because if you're purchasing a property less than $500,000, right, you can actually purchase a property with 5% down, right? Anything above 500,000, the first 500,000 is at 5% that you need for deposit, and then the additional is 10%, right? So let's say you're buying a $600,000 property. Right, that first 500,000 is about $25,000. Then you need 10,000. You need 10% of the difference. So 500 to 600 is only 100,000. So 10% of that is only 10,000. So therefore, you need 35,000 deposit for your purchase, as long as you can get the mortgage approval for the property.
Don't be afraid to talk about money and finance. Get yourselves prepared first. You wouldn't go into a shopping center or like a retail without your wallet. You have to know how much you have in your wallet.
And how much you can
got
afford.
Apple Pay.
I know, but you have to know what you can afford.
Well,
I'm kidding, man. I'm just messing with you.
You need to know how much you can actually afford. Like, don't just go by your gut feeling.
Yeah,
you
because
need to know.
you know what? It's a big waste of time when you actually are shopping. You're going out with your agent, and your agent doesn't
Yeah.
do you the favor or do you the right job for you and ask you to get pre-approved, because now you're just running around looking at different homes.
If that agent wants to waste his time, go ahead.
Yeah, but and like you're wasting your time by
Everyone's
looking
time.
around a lot of different homes
Everyone's
for nothing, because if you can't afford a $1.2 million house,
Yeah,
then like
yeah.
why are you looking at $1.2 million
It's
houses?
actually quite disappointing too. Like when you find something you actually love, and it's a perfect home. You go to buy it. You either get shot down or you deny, you can't close. It's big.
Well, the bank
big
just says you can't afford this. That's
Straight
the
up.
heartbreak.
Just crush your dreams.
But a lot of it too for first-time home buyers, it's research, right? Some of them really don't want to buy, like they don't really have the true intention of buying soon. And maybe it's 6 months or a year down the line, but they want to go out to see, right? To motivate them to say, oh, I could do this. Or I
Waste
can't.
time.
We might see it as that, but it's part of the process.
Yeah, it
with
is part of the
first-time
process.
Here's the
right?
thing. Here's the thing. Okay, going back to a little bit of the value of the realtor is that if they don't go through the process with you properly, then are they really going to represent you in the best possible manner when
That's
it
right.
comes to negotiating your
That's right.
home? You have to be realistic about it, right? Because if they're not following their own protocol, that means how experienced are they,
Yeah.
right? And if they're not experienced, then really, do you want them representing you? Right? Even though they're willing to
Good
take
point.
you
No,
around the
good point.
houses.
Yeah.
Good point.
But you know what? Like, I mean, there's this one thing. So we were just using that number of 1.2, right? So let's say you find out your actual budget it's a little bit lower than that. Like, let's just say like 1.1 mil, and you keep telling them to put like lowball offers on something that's worth 1.2. That's also a waste of time as well.
What's a lowball offer?
Like under a mil or something. Like
So
for
on a
example,
1.2, what would you consider like lowball?
Yeah, what would you
Yeah,
consider?
under-
999 or something.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But
So, I mean-
knowing, but that's to get to the point. You need to know what your max is before you kind of put in any offers. Because in situations where you put in an offer where you actually don't get approved, you're kind of screwed, right? Like the bank's not going to finance it. Now, how are you going to close?
Yeah, and there's also the other factor is too that a lot of realtors today, they play a lot of games with the pricing. So what the list price is isn't necessarily always going to be the actual price that the property's worth in that specific market. So the market value is different than what the actual advertised price is. Because a lot of people, even though we're a bit of a down market right now, there's still a lot of prices that are well below what market value is, and they don't have what they call an offer date for the, for multiple offers, right? So they want to be able to, attract you into the house and say, hey, you know what? The actual house is not
Yeah.
worth $1 million. It's actually worth
Exactly.
$1.2 million.
That's annoying as hell.
I know.
It is.
I
It's
don't.
such a-
I don't
it's such a
personally
waste
do
of
that,
time.
but
Me neither.
I see it a lot.
But you know what? Like that strategy is more so just to kind of capture your interest. And without a buyer agent representing you, you go into these houses, you go into the open house, and then you find out, hey, it's actually like everything else on the market is worth
More.
0.2. Then you're kind of wasting your weekend too, right? You're wasting your own time.
I'll say that could be a good tactic to get new clients for a listing agent, because you're going to get calls clearly
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of
200,000
sign
below
calls for
Yeah,
sure.
market.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, you don't have an agent? Well, let me talk to you about that, right?
yeah.
So that is a good tactic in that sense, or not, right?
Yeah,
I
it's
think
good
it's
for
a
the
good-
listing side, but
Yeah,
for
I
the
think
buyers,
it's a
what I mean.
tactic
For
to
the-
get a.
Well, for
Listen
the
side.
actual buyers, they're not getting it
Yeah.
at the advertised price.
I wouldn't do it.
No,
No.
but they think they are.
Yeah. So next thing on the list, as agents, as a buyer even, we need to talk about what the buyer actually is looking for. Right. That's the next step. So after you talk about the money, after you talk about the pre-approval, what does the buyer actually want? Do they want a condo? Is it a single person? Is it a family? What is it that they
I want the
right?
works, the Canadian dream.
They all want that,
Yeah.
right?
Everyone wants that piece of land.
Everybody
And
wants that.
They want to mow their own lawn.
Home lawn,
Yeah.
backyard, high fence.
So yeah, like we start talking about actually what is it that they're looking for, and why is it that they need, like, for one person, do you need a 3-bedroom? Again, it could be a one, could be a need, whatever. Like,
Well,
there's
if
a
they
lot
can
of
afford, if they,
situations too, right?
I mean, they'll give you their desires.
yeah,
Right, and be like, I want a 3-bedroom, 3-bath house
It's
with a
perfectly
rental
fine.
apartment
Yeah.
downstairs, and but I have $1 million budget, so, and that's what I want to spend.
we might be able to find it. It may not be in the area that you want, but we might be able to find it. But
No, but I mean, ideally, they're gonna give you what they want, and then you,
Yeah.
as an agent, of course, we're gonna try
Try
to
to provide
help you get what you want.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, is that, like, sometimes what you want isn't always going to be the right fit, right? Which is why we go through a process called the triangle, right? And you guys know what the triangle is, correct?
Yeah, Chicago Bulls triangle offense.
Yeah, yeah.
Who doesn't know that? MJ,
Michael Jordan,
Scotty.
Pippen, yeah.
you got
And then-
Rodman.
I know what the triangle.
Explain the
Yes,
triangle.
let's talk
Okay,
about
we
the
have, we, have,
triangle.
we have 3 points, right, on the triangle, obviously, right? It says triangle. So the first point is your price point. Second is your location. And then third is your property type, right? So if you don't have a maximum budget, if you don't have a full budget to do whatever you want to do, then you got to pick 2 out of the 3. Okay, if it's price, you already set a price and you can't afford any more than that, then that's already set. Right. And if you want a certain property type, let's say you want a detached house, let's say, I don't know, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath detached house, and you want to be in, let's say, Willowdale, like North York, Yonge and Finch, Yonge and Shepherd area, right? That's
And your
not
price
possible,
point,
right?
Price point 500.
And
Yeah.
your price point say $1 million,
Yeah.
right? That you're not going to get into a detached house in that community, right? So, like, you have to then sacrifice one of the points.
Wait, so you don't have to complete the triangle?
No,
So it's not a triangle.
but no, it's a 3-point. It's a 3-point.
but I see what he's saying.
You know what I
It's
mean?
not a triangle.
No, but you know what? Like, it works because you have to give away one of the 3 points
It's a
for you
40
to get what you want.
45.
You can
so-
never really complete the triangle.
So it's a line.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Basically.
Yeah.
You pick
So,
2.
like, if you want to eliminate the actual location, right, then you can find a house that's $1 million, 3-bedroom, 2-bath in, like, say, Scarborough,
It's enlightening.
right? Or you can buy something in, Durham, right?
True.
But, like, you can't buy it in that prime community, right? So you have to give up one of the 3. All right. If it's okay, you know what? If I want to buy in this neighborhood and I want to buy this type of house, right, then you have to be flexible in your price. Your price has got to be available.
Again,
No, I agree. I just don't agree with the triangle.
Yeah,
That's
it's,
all.
not really, it's not really a triangle if it's a point. It's a line.
Yeah. I get what you're
But
saying.
no, I understand.
But you know what I mean? Like,
But,
this is the 3
I-
things.
Ideally, to satisfy the buyer's wish list, is you would have all 3 points,
Yeah.
and you would create a triangle.
That's what I thought.
I know.
Anyways, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, you got the point across.
Cool.
That's fine.
Well,
Yeah.
I get it.
Okay.
It's a
Triangle just sounds better. It's a good marketing.
It's a
People
visual.
understand
triangle
what a triangle
offense.
is, and then they understand that
It's just a
works.
visual representation. that's all.
triangle offense. Let's go.
Okay. Okay, what's next?
All right. Well, anyway, so so when you're shopping for for your client and they have their budget, they have what they want, then you can then isolate on the different areas. Now, here's the thing: is that for first-time home buyers, a lot of times they may have a very small budget, but they want to fit everything they want into this budget, right? They want to be able to live in this house for like 10 years, and just be there forever.
Yeah.
Okay. And how would you guys advise on this?
I usually say that, I mean, obviously they have visions their first time home buying, but it's not necessarily their forever home, but they're saying that to you. They're saying this is the house I want to blah, 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 blah. Like, unless it's like a smaller price point, but they usually want to buy a home with the intention of it being forever. But we know the reality, right? You want to move up the property ladder based on your budget. This can't be your forever home. This is your budget, right? You're going to have to work towards that. But in general, like you just have to set the reality, like you said. You want to be in this area. This is your budget. Let's go back to the triangle. You got to sacrifice one of these things if you want this, right? And so for me, I think I work with a good 50-50 first-time homebuyer investors right now, right? Depending on the time of the year. But typically, they're always sacrificing one of those factors for sure. I've never really seen it where they really, truly, for the price point, get what they want, right? They were going further away. We can get it, but there's a sacrifice. And the problem becomes when they don't want to sacrifice one of those things and they're waiting for something in the market to shift, to change, like right now. And they won't make a decision, and they're just waiting for something to happen. Hopefully we can get the three sides of the triangle all formed. But the reality is,
okay, let's put a case scenario here behind it. Okay, so like I'm a first-time home buyer. I have a $600,000 budget. Okay, and I want to buy a townhouse, and I want at least 2 bedrooms, 2 bath, right? But I wanna have a townhouse, right? What would you guys recommend?
at $600K.
At 600,000.
No,
Well,
And I want
condo
I need
townhouse, and how many bedrooms?
2 bedrooms, 2
bedroom,
bath.
2 bathroom.
Condo
It's,
town.
it's doable, but you might have to sacrifice on location. Now, if we're looking at like downtown, that's out of the question.
Wait, are you freehold? Are you saying freehold?
No, it's
or
okay.
just-
I
it just
can look
doesn't
at.
matter?
Type is
I want a
okay as well.
townhouse. Yeah. So like condo townhouse is fine.
For $600K, 2
Well,
bedroom.
we know like from that case, we know price is we have to find out whether or not that is the price cap. If 600K is a price cap, sure, that's something we can't touch. Now what we can change is possibly
Location.
the type or the location.
No,
Now-
but he wants a townhouse, so you can't change the
Hey,
type.
it could be a townhouse. It could be like a stacked townhouse. It could be a lower unit, upper unit. Those all change pricing, right? So again, that's the type.
Something's got to give.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah, like I mean, let's say, okay, where would you advise me to buy then?
I think Aurora Newmarket is possible. Yeah, there's a couple of not freehold, but some townhomes in a complex. They're around 600. Yeah.
Yeah, condo townhouse, right?
So
Yeah.
maybe Vaughan.
Okay. Some are in Vaughan, some are in Pickering, some
Yeah.
are in
Yeah.
Oakville.
I'm
some
not
are-
sure downtown
Okay,
has
so
that.
now I'm this first time buyer, and you have all these options around. So now I want to look at all these different areas. I want to see all my options.
Okay.
All right. So are you going to drive to Oakville, drive to Vaughan, drive to
Yeah.
Aurora, drive to Pickering?
And I'll tell you why. No, and I'll tell you why.
Rod drives
It's-
electric.
It's sweet. No, that's the next one. But like, I told you guys before, it's research, right? So sometimes you have to do this in order to educate the buyer of what reality is.
That's a good point.
And fine, you want to go to Oakville? I'll show you. You want to go to Newmarket? Let's go. You want to go to Barrie? All right, fine. You're gonna it's gonna be different, right? And you as an agent, like you said, if you're not willing to do that and go the extra mile, then how are you in the negotiation process when you actually find something that they want and you're going to put in an offer?
It's cost of doing
Right?
business. Like
It's the cost. Of
I make sure they feel the pain of driving all the way to Stouffville
feel
and
the
Vaughan.
So you feel the pain too.
I feel the pain too all the time, but hey, you know what? But that's
Okay, you know what? There's a
that's-
smarter way to do it. I feel.
Tell me. Let's
Okay,
start
so
with
there's
fine.
there's the boots to the
Clearly,
ground. Let's go everywhere.
Richard's not
Yeah,
driving
like,
around.
I'm not
Okay.
driving everywhere.
All right.
No,
Tell me
no,
what
no,
your
no.
process is. Let's
No,
go.
I don't.
What
I would
is it?
never do that. I would never go.
Rod will take you to
Dude,
one
I
house
don't
in
have all day to
Muskoka.
like go do showings.
One
man.
day.
Hey,
One day, let's say they give you like 5 properties. One's in Oakville, one's in Pickering,
Wonderland,
one's in Aurora.
near Wonderland.
Like,
That's 3
like, are you
days
gonna
of your
go?
time though.
Are you gonna go?
That's 3
Are
days.
you
Do
gonna
the
go all the
same
way
day.
east to west to north? Like, come on, man.
Try to do it the same day, but realistically, probably not.
Okay, what's the correct way?
Okay, so
What's-
like,
yeah, what's
I
your-
would
what's
ask. Them,
Richard's
okay,
way?
you would obviously want to know what's important to them. what area is the most significant importance to them, and why is it important to them? And then you can, okay, if they understand, okay, well, I want to be along the some kind of transportation. I want to be around my family, and my family is in let's say on the east end of the city. Okay, well then let's not focus on the west end. Let's eliminate the west end completely. Right, let's focus on the east end because you want to be close to family. So let's stay focused there.
But sometimes motivations change. This is why I want to bring to the area because they need to see the amenities.
But if they don't,
it.
exactly, I hear you. But
Right?
if they already kind of have specific requirements that they need to be, that's just our job of trying to qualify them better. Right?
I think
but
it's important to ask a couple more questions. Like, hey, where do you work? Like if your location, if you work in Mississauga and you want to live all the way out into Oshawa, does that make sense to you? Probably not. So maybe we should focus a little bit more on closer to
Well,
work.
if the budget only allows Oshawa, then they're going to go there, right? Regardless if they
Or
work in
maybe
North York or their
maybe
budget.
they can move to Milton.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Well,
I mean, you got to ask
Maybe
questions.
Hamilton. I don't know. It could
you have
be a
to
little
know,
bit
Right.
you got to know what's important to you because there's a lot of options all around. But you have to be focused. And you know what? This is the number one mistake that a lot of first-time home buyers do go through, is that they look at the realtor.ca and they look at, okay, look at all these options available for me within this budget.
They go on the map and it's like,
And then, oh my God. And then they'll send
Look
you
at
like 15, 20 listings all around the city. And it's like, let's
like
isolate.
going
You know
into
what?
a
Like I
candy
always ask
store.
them, I asked them to isolate the specific pocket that they want to be in first. And let's exhaust all the options in that one area. And then if that doesn't work, then let's expand outside of it. But slowly, gradually move away from their desired area. That way it's not like you're running from Oakville to say Oshawa to.
It's good to ask questions, but sometimes in
Aurora.
Rod's case, they don't know. What if they have no family and they have no friends and they work from home, right? So
exactly.
yeah,
They
so
can go
sometimes-
anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's really budget focused. So
And honestly, when you focus on one tiny area, you already know okay, if your budget's 600,000, you look on the map, nothing's available.
yeah.
You quickly move on. That only takes 5 seconds.
Or you see
can
it's
check.
available, but they're trying to do a bid war, or you know what I mean. It's not going for that price.
Because
Yeah.
I understand. I feel the buyer sometimes when they look at it, it's really sporadic based on the budget. Because you have a filter on, and it's like, oh wow, it's all over the place.
Right.
These are all the available
Right.
ones. Then I guess our job is okay, find out which one's actually real price, which one's fake. We kind of help them navigate that.
You know what's a good tool, Rod?
What?
It's Google Street View.
Thanks, bro.
But okay, so all of this really
Got you.
I got you.
so it comes back to
Oh, look at this.
comes back to the triangle.
All the way to the street.
So we can summarize. You can't do price, location, type. You can't get all three
Unless you have a big budget.
Unless, yeah. Thank you.
unless you do.
There's ultimately going to be a sacrifice.
Unless it's criminal.
Sure. So there
It doesn't exist.
Sure. Okay. All right, let's move on. Let's move on.
Breaking and
Triangle.
entering.
Triangle.
Wait.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go to showings actually, because I know we put in there budget and closing, but let's go into the showings because now when we're actually going out looking at properties,
Yeah. Next step
Right.
is
and
find something
then
and go.
I wanted more open concept, how would you guys go about showing it? What would your buyers want to? How would you get your buyers to kind of narrow down onto what they actually really need and what they want and what they really want to see?
I think, you know what? I think a lot of buyers are really, really smart these days because they know there's virtual tours and the 360 virtual tours, panoramic tours, they can see everything, right? Sometimes my buyers, first-time home buyers will say, is there a floor plan? So I'll ask the listing agent, do you have a floor plan? Blah, 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 blah. But generally speaking, the photography now, it's incredible.
It's true.
You see the whole space.
It's incredibly fake.
Virtual tours are
Drone
incredible.
shots.
Well, I mean,
It's a lot of
to a
AI.
degree, but I mean, you can get a sense of the space. You do 360, you look up, you look down. I mean, that's technology's come so far now. So they generally know what kind of space they like. So when you send them listings, they've already done the research, done all the virtual tours, and they say, okay, out of these 5, these 2 are out. Let's see these 3. Right?
You know what? Oftentimes, I do find once the clients they go into certain houses. Let's say they go into 3, 4, 5 houses, they have a pretty good idea what they don't like and what they can live with, right? So usually it's I would get clients oh, I want a big backyard. After they see a couple ones with a smaller backyard with a nice deck, they're like, I can live with a smaller backyard. I can live with a nice deck though.
Yeah.
I want that deck. I remember that house with a nice deck. Okay, so now you kind of okay, I don't need a property with 100-foot deep lot, right? Like that's no longer a necessity. So you kind of narrow down what it is that they want.
Yeah.
Some people are like, hey, you know what? I can only look at renovated homes. I can't deal with work. Okay, fair enough, right?
I often tell them like it's not just the home too. Like you might have a positive reveal that okay, it's a smaller backyard, I can live with this because it's a nice home. That's a good sacrifice. But at the same time, it could backfire. There are like just a couple experiences for me. They find they go into a home, they like the home, but then they come out. Oh, the neighborhood, the neighbors, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a really kind of shady area adjacent to it, or it smells like.
True, it could be.
Or
Anyway,
there could be a
just
lot
turn
of
off.
rentals in a neighborhood, and you just don't want to be around a whole lot of renters that are,
Yeah.
taking away from your enjoyment of the community.
Yeah, that's true.
Like-
Like I've seen so many houses where it's like a bunch of people that are renting, and you have a driveway with like 7 cars, and like you see those ones, you're like, do I want to live in a rowdy neighborhood potentially where it's no longer like a family friendly neighborhood?
Yeah.
So they see that and like, wow, okay, I don't really want that anymore.
The whole street became like a parking lot. I've driven
Yeah.
by some areas.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, all I see is cars.
Yeah.
Car lot.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, or you get listen. I mean, we have clients who always ask who's here, culturally, right? That's a big thing too. You can't
Yeah.
deny that. We're in Canada,
Demographics.
right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Right?
There's a lot of demographics.
What
that kind of bundle
demographics are
together.
here, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's an important factor too, right? And obviously, when you drive in the street, you could tell clearly. What I like to do with the first time home buyers, we like to walk the neighborhood and knock on some doors and just ask the neighbors who's here, what's the school like.
Oh, you actually knock
that's
on
really
people's
good.
doors.
We do that.
That's
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
very
yeah. Because I also want to. You might be living here. Talk to your neighbor. This could be a good neighbor.
Uh-huh.
Might be a bad neighbor, right?
Okay.
But let's talk to them and get a feel
It's a
of the
good tip.
vibe, and yeah,
That's a good tip.
there you go. You know this. Come on, man.
No,
Actually, no, I've never done that. I've never done
no,
that.
it's a really good tip.
Yeah.
That's a very
Talk
good.
to
That's
the
a very
neighbors.
interesting process.
I just checked Geo Warehouse to see what last names people have.
Well, you could
Dude's
do
an Asian.
Actually, you could do that too. That
Yeah.
helps a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't know how nice
yeah,
they
but
are.
you don't
So-
know.
yeah,
you don't
yeah,
know
no,
personality.
I-
you don't know.
I could tell by their first name sometimes.
If they're nice.
If they're a Chad or something, I know. Anyways, go on. No, your way is much better.
No, that's a very interesting process. I've never
That's a
actually
nice,
thought about
that's a
doing
good
that.
process.
Yeah, and asking them all our questions on the spot.
Ask the dirt.
Like, how's
Yeah.
the school?
Ask the dirt.
How's this? How's the?
Why are they selling?
Ask
You
the
had any
dirt.
problems? Get
Yeah.
the dirt.
No, I usually ask
Get
people
the
like
dirt.
just passerby. I never knocked on the doors.
Knocking on the
It's like,
door is
excuse
something
me.
new.
That's something new.
Yeah.
Like I would find someone in the elevator. Say if it's a condo, it's like, hey, how long you live here? You live here? Oh, what's
They usually love to disclose, anyways.
Oh,
like when you're
they love to
talking, like
share.
Neighbors
let's say you're
love to
like
talk.
talking to your clients in the elevator, and
Yeah.
then they're just like you're just casually talking to your client,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then like, hey, you know what? This building has this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this building. It's quiet. Or like sometimes like, oh, there's so many renters here. Like they want to disclose.
either bash
Or you talk to the
raving.
property
Unsolicited,
manager
too.
or the concierge or whatever.
Yeah, no.
It's like,
Often in condos,
know.
if you're in an elevator with someone that's there, you're
Yeah,
like, oh,
just,
hey, do you
hey.
live here? Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, what's the experience like?
yeah.
Oh, I hate it. No. Or like, oh, I love
all
it.
these
This is
all these
amazing.
renters are so
Generally
loud.
speaking, they always try to be helpful.
Yeah.
And they'd be like positive about it, but
Yeah, they have no skin in the game.
No,
yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
generally are a little bit positive about it. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's
Unfiltered.
like you ask another person in the
Yeah.
lobby, and they're like they have a different experience,
Mm.
Yeah.
right? But they also can go online and get reviews, right? Because
Yeah.
a lot of buildings have different reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so-
but not so much for houses, right?
But
Detached
houses is-
like
House is
theaters,
different.
right?
You
So,
can you have to sort
Yeah.
of like that's a good idea to
Yeah.
knock around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about going around on trash day and seeing how the neighbors react? Because you can sometimes tell, like if they leave their trash unorganized. Do you ever?
So
is
you
it just me?
actually go in the city, search up the trash day of the property that you're interested in looking.
Yeah, it's easy.
Uh,
but I just thought of this
I've
when
never-
you said you walked around the neighborhood.
That
I'm
could
like,
work, I
You
guess.
there's some neighbors
Makes
that
sense.
they have
Just
trash
so
and they
you- based on how they organize their trash bins.
yeah, and how they on windy days it falls off and it's like, oh, that guy. It's always one guy in my neighborhood that does that. He leaves it out on a windy day,
And
and then the next day it's just everywhere.
yeah.
That's
I don't
the
wanna-
bad neighborhood.
I don't want to live next to that guy.
Yeah, that could work too. That could work too. I'm not saying that's
Well, that
So
that could be
another-
a determining factor if you're.
So another
Sure.
tip for first-time homebuyers: look up the trash day and go.
Yeah,
in
I-
there.
No, I mean
Drive
like
the
just
street.
looking at the community, right? Like you're just doing your
Yeah.
research of the community,
Yeah.
right?
Is this guy throwing out a toilet? Like, I don't want to be next to this guy.
Well, he might be renovating.
Well,
Yo, maybe he's
he might be
renovating.
It might be
selling.
gutting it. Yeah.
You know, in the city though,
What's wrong with throwing out an old toilet?
hey, you know what? On trash day in the city, especially, there's a lot of people that are going for bottles, going for like maybe.
Oh,
not,
yeah.
Hey, maybe you don't want to live beside certain people like that. Like, oh wow, it's so
Yeah, they
Well,
pretty-
check
hoarders
the neighborhood,
next
right?
door. They're
orders.
and-
Yeah.
It's all good ideas. good
Definitely
ideas,
check the
guys.
neighborhood for yourself.
All right, so
too.
so after you did the showings and they like, okay, I like this property. Let's go ahead and move the offer and let's put an offer in. What are the things on the offer that's actually important for people to actually recognize?
So I think if you've already done the first couple steps that we've mentioned, like getting the pre-approval and getting all that, on the offer, there's still the option to check with your lender to get a financing condition.
So conditions. Okay.
Yeah, so there are certain conditions that you may or may not want to include. There's like we've all heard
So
before.
what are the conditions that you would put in your offers?
Depends on the property. What are we talking about right now?
So what are the
So,
standard
what,
conditions
condo
for, let's say, a
or-
condo?
Let's say condo townhouse.
Condo townhouse. Well, first and foremost, we have to know how old is the condo townhouse or the complex. If it's a brand new build, do you need to do a home inspection? Chances are.
Okay, so
it's-
you can have a home inspection condition in there.
Yeah, you can have a home inspection. You need to check the status certificate.
Okay,
right?
so condition on status certificate.
Yeah, so have a lawyer review all the documents, all the financials.
And then and
Finan-
you mentioned condition of
financing.
financing too, right?
Yeah, condition for financing. And then you gotta have like what's included in the property, what are the appliances, what the
Okay.
seller's gonna leave.
So chattels, like anything that's included with the property.
Fixtures, chattels, spell it all around, right?
I would
Right.
go right ahead and, if feasible, throw in some warranties. If it's newer, make sure that warranty is passed on to the new buyer, like to your
What
client.
warranty are you talking about? Tarion?
No. I mean, it could be Tarion if it's new. If it's a warranty on appliances. If it's
Okay.
warranty on,
You get warranty on appliances.
you can get warranty on anything.
Warranty that it works.
Yeah, warranties
Okay.
that it works. Warranty that let's say it it's
The
only
channels
for
and
the-
fixtures. So in the actual offer, you would put a warranty representation saying that the channels and fixtures included in this
Right,
agreement
right.
purchase
On
sale
closing day, it's gonna
will
work.
be in good working order or working order,
right.
right?
So
on completion.
So
Right.
Even above like Tarion, like let's say it's a newer build and they do not have a Tarion, you just include some warranties from that builder.
Okay.
Right.
So you want to put some warranties in
Right.
your condition. Okay, fine.
Just to protect.
But
the
what
buyer,
about like
yeah.
the more high level stuff that people need to know that is also part of the actual offer, such as closing dates, right? Deposit amounts,
Yes.
right?
So what?
irrevocable times,
Right.
and obviously your purchase price. Right?
I get this question a lot. So what deposit should I put down?
right.
It's always 5%, is it not?
No, could be $1.
Mm,
Could be 10,000. Could be 1,000. Depends on where you're
Okay.
in
So
Ontario.
yeah.
Okay, well, we're in GTA.
Where,
So
depending on your market, there really isn't a standard. You can't. It's not really 5%. There's an expectation.
I'd say
for
5% is
5%.
a standard, though.
It's an expectation. So you don't legally have to put 5%. You can put what you can to provide good faith that you want this deal to go through. So the more the merrier, obviously. But from a buying perspective, our job to protect the client is to make sure we can put as little as possible in order to obviously
To
if something
secure.
goes
I
down,
don't know.
to
that
secure it.
could put you at a disadvantage,
It
though.
could. If
depends
you're in-
on
if you-
it depends on the situation, right?
Right.
But yeah, continue.
But you know what I'm saying, right? So deposit is used as a negotiation tool as well, right? It does show good faith. Are you good for this? Do you have the financing and the capability to close this deal? So the more the merrier, obviously. But and then in the bid war, we've seen. I mean, if there's 50 offers, you better
yeah,
5%
if
might
you're-
not even do it.
Yeah.
All right,
If
so-
a multiple offer situation is
Right.
there, then you may want to put up your
Right.
deposit. Because so what does that mean? Like, why is it important to put your deposit amount? Like, if it's low,
Like,
why is that bad?
Why would a seller even?
Why
care,
why
right?
is a high deposit good? Like,
Again,
what is it?
yeah.
Why is it good or bad?
So again, it shows good faith that you can afford this property, right? So someone putting, let's say, $10,000 down on a $3 million house, I'm not sure if I'd take that offer.
But you know what? I agree with you. But just devil's advocate is irrelevant if it's conditional anyway. So I've seen some people where
Is it?
It is. It's irrelevant. But upon so
It is relevant.
It is relevant.
Hear me
I'd say.
out. Hear me out. So if it's a conditional offer,
Yeah.
if you offer, let's say $10,000 on paper, but then you also add a clause contingent on if when everything firms up, there will be an additional deposit of, let's say, 200,000.
Okay, well that's
Okay,
different.
but that,
that's
yeah,
different.
You
But
change the
that's-
dynamic.
Yeah,
of
that's
Yeah.
such a.
No, no, no.
Okay,
that's
but
my
that's
analogy.
not. It's very unique.
Yeah.
okay, anyways,
In a
let's go on.
standard offer that we put in, we typically ask the buyer to put down 5%.
One deposit.
But if they can't,
Right.
then they can't.
Exactly.
Right? Then we'll put down whatever they can, because sometimes their funds are tied into like some
RSPs
stocks or
yeah.
RSPs, etc. Right? Yeah, but whatever they can put down, like we'll try to put down as much as we can. But the advantage of it is, of course, like Rod's talking about, is that like it shows how serious you are with the whole purchase. Right? If it's low, then it might not be very serious. Right? Because you're like, okay, well, do they have the funds to actually buy this place?
Well, the
from
higher
sell-
deposit.
Yeah, from a seller's perspective, there's risk too. Like, so let's say they put down 10,000 instead of 50,000, for example.
Okay.
If the deal doesn't go through or whatever, and let's say it goes all the way to closing, they can't close. You're only entitled
Exactly.
to get like a
Yes.
smaller amount
Right.
to cover their expenses, and 10,000 might not be enough. Like they've already spent it on the lawyer, they've spent all the time. Market might have changed, and now the price might have dropped. That could be significant too, right? So I think from a seller's perspective, that's the reason why they want a slightly larger deposit, just to kind of feel more secure until closing.
Right. So yeah, and then let's talk about the irrevocable time, because a lot of people don't realize that there's an irrevocable time. What is irrevocable? So it's basically just an expiry time on your offer, right? So if you put an offer in and we say, okay, you know what, we have an irrevocable time to tomorrow at 12 p.m. noon, right? That means that offer that we gave them is good until noon, right? And you know, it puts pressure on the seller to make a decision by that time, because after that time, it's either, well, you know what, I'm going to put another offer on a different house,
Yeah.
right? Or I'm going to consider other options.
So it's in other words, it's a deadline for the offer to expire.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's also a commitment to just the one buyer or seller.
Oh yeah, that's a good question, because a lot of
That's-
you guys probably get this often. It's like, can we put offers on two houses?
You cannot.
Oh,
Well, you technically can, but let's just say you get them both. Congratulations.
No, but that's why they use
Explain.
Give me your deposit.
But that's why they use
So-
the term irrevocable, because you know if the signer counter offers,
Yeah.
it's only to you only
Yeah.
exclusively.
Yeah.
Not another party. I can't sell my house twice.
I had an agent one time give me an irrevocable. I was on the listing side. They gave me an irrevocability of an hour, and I was like, "Are you serious? Like I'm on the road, an hour? Sorry, take it or leave it. All right, we leave it. Like,
Sorry.
like you're gonna pressure my client within 1 hour?
Yeah.
and it was a low ball offer too. Like, what?
Yeah.
But I mean, oftentimes we have offers with lower irrevocable if it's like a bully offer. In that situation, like here's 3 hours, here's 5 hours. I've seen that before. I've done it before.
Yeah, 3 hours is reasonable.
I've done it before.
1
A
hour.
couple.
is
1 hour is a little ridiculous.
like
That's a really tight timeline. Yeah.
Because what
You
if
can't, you
what
can't
if,
get anything.
I'm not
done
what
gonna,
if
in
the
an hour.
I'm not
seller-
gonna get
what
a
if
hold of my
seller's
seller
working?
in an hour? Yeah, exactly.
or turn off the phone?
Exactly.
That
No.
happens, right?
Then that's just kind of that's just
That's-
an
that's
inexperienced agent
That's
trying
silly.
to
Yeah.
put an offer in, and it's like, okay, well,
1 hour.
do you really want to take them serious or not?
Yeah.
Is this a real
It-
serious offer or
It's-
no?
It sounds like they forgot to send it in. They signed it in the morning, and then they're like,
Oh,
"Oh,
yeah. Oh shit.
oh, you know
I
what?
have to.
Oh, whoops.
You got 1 hour.
You got one."
You had 12. I mean,
Yeah,
Anyways.
All
procrastinator.
right. So yeah, and then price obviously like is negotiable. Like you can try to
Yeah.
work through that price. Let's go through some of the other items on the conditions that we're talking about, like home inspection. When you're looking at a home inspection, like what is it that you really want to see?
You don't want the parents to come in as a home inspector.
You don't want to see any. dead
why not?
bodies.
What do you mean? Uncle's a great home inspector. He-
Richard's got a good story.
Hey, no, I'm not talking about my client. No.
Okay, but
We're not-
So like, but what is that you want to look
Richard
for?
does, actually, you make a good point.
Yeah.
A lot of the times when we do these home inspections, the buyer wants to bring in family members, right? Because they bought before, and YouTube University, they're an expert now, right? So,
YouTube University, yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
So they'll bring in a family member or a friend or someone who knows construction, and they'll go through it and they'll give their opinion. And sometimes that opinion outweighs the opinion of the actual inspection report, and they'll trust that opinion and then pick on those items that may or may not be necessarily detrimental to the sale. But I think the mistake in that is you're not trusting the professional to do the job you paid him to do, and he's been doing, or she's been
But-
doing for a while. So
Like, I mean, home inspections. Why is it important? Why even have it there, right? I think the main point here is to actually find out whether or not there's any deficiencies in the home. Are there leaks? Are there cracks? Are there windows that need to be replaced? Are there things that look great when it's staged but are actually deficient? So it's important, like especially if you go into an older home, it's like, hey, the roof is good, just about to go, it needs to be replaced, this and that. Like, that's why you bring in a professional to check in, to make sure that all these things are in check, or at least get an estimate of like what are some of the repair costs and what's the timeline. Now, if you bring in a contractor or someone inexperienced or a family member to replace that, you're actually putting yourself in a detriment, because they're half the time they don't know what they're talking about. And
home inspector is just here to kind of point out what the defects are.
Yeah.
Right. To your point. Right. And usually, I mean, they look at the bigger ticket items, furnaces, plumbing, mold, roofing, windows. You know what I mean? Like the bigger things, electrical.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then, maybe sometimes to look at the appliances, and they'll look at
Some small like cosmetic stuff, right?
they'll look at all the little things, right? But the objective is to make sure that you're buying a home like that is,
You don't wanna buy lemon.
that isn't
Yeah.
that's going to give you a whole lot of problems when you purchase it afterwards.
Yeah.
Right. But aesthetics now, right? Now, does it come down to aesthetics? Can you, when you do a home inspection, it says, hey, listen, you know what? This backsplash tile is missing. I need you to fix it before I take it. Right? Like,
Obviously, of course. I'm joking.
right. But no, like sometimes the aesthetics, like, it's not really a variable factor, because you can see it when you're putting the offer in. So prior to even looking at it, you can see that, hey, these are all kind of aesthetically like not appeasing. So should that be considered into your home inspection report, or it would be acceptable for a home inspector to say, yeah, you know what, like these need to be fixed, or for your client to say, okay, hey, I want you to fix these.
It's probably something just for them to know, but it's not something that's like a negotiating point. Like, let's say you have all these tiles in the kitchen, one's cracked. I want all of it replaced. That's a little unreasonable. Or, I mean, but vice versa, if let's say the fridge is not working, stove isn't working, and this is all, and you find this all out before closing, or the faucet's leaking or whatever, that's reasonable to ask them to, hey, you know what, this is not in good working condition, this needs to be replaced based on our agreement, right?
Yeah. So you basically find all the defective things, and then you say, okay, well, hey, nothing's defective, everything's great. You know what? Home inspection report is good. We're just gonna waive it,
Yeah.
right? And then move on from it. But if there's certain things that's defective, then what happens is the agent would just do an amendment. They'll waive the home inspection condition, but we need these changes to be done.
Oh, so actually, I have a story about that. So actually, I helped a buyer buy a house before. Everything looked great. It was needed some work, renovations. But when we had the home inspector come in, they went into the basement, and they actually said that the supporting joist is actually like, it wasn't even, it wasn't supporting properly. So that was a huge expense that the seller needed to address before closing. So it's something that you can't see, but like they noticed.
That's a major one.
It was really big, and I'm glad they caught that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, like the major things that you want to get looked at.
Yeah.
So even foundational stuff. I've
It was
seen
a
where-
foundational problem.
Yeah, I've seen things with foundation. It's like you can see it kind of like leaking. You can see water leaking into the foundation, and that's a big problem. Or like how sometimes you have those stairwells that go down from the backyard,
Yeah.
and then you have like the wall. It's starting to crumble. Like
Yeah.
you can see it kind of crumbling, right? And that if that thing falls over, then that's a big ticket item to replace.
Well, there's a lot of old homes in downtown Toronto that have brick foundation, and so I've seen the brick just spalling and just kind of crumbling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Brick foundation?
Brick.
So
Yeah.
these are the
They-
things that
they-
you want to be able to
Houses
check.
were built
right?
with
but
brick foundation.
to be honest, sometimes with these first-time home buyers, they don't know what they shouldn't ask for or not ask for,
Or care to look for.
or what they need to look for,
Yeah.
right? So the idea behind it is that you want to be able to look for like the bigger problems, like the big ticket items that needs to be addressed before you take over.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
I mean, if it's aesthetics, you know, you already know that this is what you're buying. It's a used home. It's not a brand new home. Right. So you have to sort of accept what it is, right? Because it's like buying a used car versus a brand new car.
I'm still kind of shocked about the brick being the foundation, because brick is by nature is permeable.
I've seen
know.
stone too.
That's crazy.
Like
I've seen
stone.
stone. You've never
Oh,
seen
yeah,
a brick.
it wears
Has
away.
anyone else ever seen a brick foundation? I have.
Yeah.
Like, but with like
very
cement
rare
and
though.
everything, right? Like cement.
Yeah, well, there's mortar in between it, obviously, but there's no. The foundation is brick. It's
Wow.
just brick.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, one thing here too. Let's go back to the conditions. That the conditions also have an expiry time on them, right? So some people don't realize that there's an expiry time on them.
Mm-hmm.
So something they need to be aware of, that, like, you know, they maybe get 5 days on the financing. You got maybe 5 days on the home inspection, right? You get maybe like 2 days on like a status certificate review, right? But there's a timeline on it. It's not indefinite.
Yeah, it's not all the way until closing. So
Yeah.
usually,
So-
like in the conditions, it specifies how many days, and it's up to us realtors to kind of explain to our clients.
Yeah, it's just
What's
just simple things that they need to be aware of. That
Like you
when
don't
they're
need
actually going through
financing
the
for 20
process-
days, for example. Right?
And when they're going through the process, this is not like a big surprise to them at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now,
Other than that, like, what about? Yeah, go ahead.
oh no, so like are there any?
Well, I want to make a note. So we always, as realtors, we highly recommend to always get a home inspection. If the market is very competitive and it's very hot, sometimes it's tough to actually get away with putting a home inspection for the seller, for the seller actually to take your offer. So just make note, we recommend it. But there's situations where some people come in with clean offers that we've seen. A clean offer means there's no conditions or little to no conditions. And so if you're willing to forego a home inspection, then be prepared to well, the consequences of that could be very costly. So just a note, right?
Yeah.
All right, and now let's say everything's all done. We've got the agreement set up. Everything's all good. Now what? What should we, you know, what should buyers be aware of?
Well, so after you get the offer accepted, then you have to find a lawyer. You have to find someone that represents your interest in closing the property. And then there's like the title searches and all that. Of course, that's, you know, your buyers, your lawyer is going to be looking after that. But you need to find a good lawyer. You need to find someone that's don't look for someone that's too cheap. I've had clients where they found like a really cheap lawyer and they've had really, really bad experiences. Like they don't pick up the calls when they have questions. They go there and they're like, no, there's no communication from sending the offer in to closing date. They're like, basically like, oh, you got to come in, like after a month of no communication, like you got to come in and sign stuff. Like, what do I need to bring? And then like, there's no communication.
Yeah, you know, often buyers, like once they have the offer agreement, they find a lawyer, they think, you know, it's time to celebrate, everything's done. But there's actually like a checklist that I usually stand out. You gotta check in with your mortgage, your lenders. You gotta, you know, make sure all those paperwork's done. Make sure all the mail's being changed, like your utilities. You gotta have all those closure and then start a new account. These are all important. You gotta set up your.
For sure.
If you need to book an elevator, make sure you know, put down that deposit, right?
Yeah.
Work out all the forms that you need to do with
Yeah,
management.
there's a lot of little things like even just like you know, booking moving trucks and all that stuff too.
Moving
But I think
trucks.
like some of the bigger things is like, are there any other expenses after you get that closing? Like, of course, a lot of buyers, they don't know that there's still a few more expenses before you actually can close the property. So closing costs, right? Like, what are they? What are some of the things that?
So a lot of people don't realize. I mean, obviously, people forget about the closing costs because they think, okay, this is I bought this,
and
I
then
put deposit, and that's it, right? But that's not always the case because you should. I think the golden rule is that we should have at least 5% of the property purchase price
just to
set aside so that you have enough money for closing costs. And closing costs can include things like land transfer tax, lawyer fees, adjustments, right? So expense adjustments. Right.
Moving costs, everything.
Moving
Yeah, everything,
costs. Yeah, like title searches, everything, right? Like
Oh,
all
hey,
that's gonna come into
most
play.
people don't think about the boring stuff. They just go right into
here's
like
my deposit.
No, shopping. Like, oh, what kind of furniture? What kind of blinds? Like all the fun stuff. They just start dreaming,
Yeah.
and get in that. Like, oh, closing everything will take care of itself.
Because
That's what they're thinking.
land transfer tax is a pretty big ticket item too.
Yeah.
Like I mean, if you buy in Toronto, there's actually two, right? So there's the provincial and the municipal. So if you buy like a 700K home, 800K home, you gotta expect like 30K in land transfer tax.
Do you know what's bigger than land transfer tax?
What?
You know, when you buy when buyers buy into new construction, you have like these adjustments, these tax levies,
Oh yeah.
and then you get the finger from the government. It's like,
So
hey,
yeah, okay,
surprise!
pre-construction. I mean, the first time buyers buy a lot of pre-construction too.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I mean, levies.
Uncapped levies. Oh, and
Could be
builders
quite a
asking
lot.
for more.
Yeah,
You're
so
in for quite surprise. Like, don't go out and shop yet. Make sure
just
you
know
find
just know
out.
what all the expenses are before you actually like just understand it all. This is why we're explaining everything to the first-time home buyers now, so you're not caught off guard when you're actually in that process.
Oh, don't buy a car.
Don't buy a car.
Oh yeah.
Don't lease a car
Yeah.
because this affects your borrowing power.
No,
Yeah.
but that's true. Even opening up, let's say, a line of credit for a furniture store, that changes your debt to equity ratios.
Mhm.
That might throw off the
Yeah.
mortgage.
The mortgage is not over yet until
Exactly.
it closes.
Mhm.
Good
Yeah.
point.
Until
Buy
you
a
get
car
the-
the day
Very
after.
good point.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
real
But anything else to cover for first-time home buyers that we are not aware of?
No, I think we
No.
covered everything.
If there's any
Yeah.
questions, just throw it down into the messages, comments.
Yeah. But yeah, we're trying to help people understand the simplification of purchasing your first property, right? Because there's a lot of things that are part of it, and we should be aware of it.
Mhm.
All right, so after all these steps, the magic happens and you own a house.
There you go.
Congratulations.
Boom.
There it is. That's why you hire
Dream
a
came
realtor.
true.
Dream came true. Boom. Mic drop.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right, man. Cool.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks,
Cool.
guys.
Awesome. If you like our content, please like, subscribe, and share.